In the middle of the South China Sea, there's a spot that doesn't show up on tourist maps. No resorts, no beaches, just gray water, gray sky, and gray ships watching each other in silence. One of them flies the American flag. On paper, it's an Arleigh Burke class destroyer conducting routine freedom of navigation operations in international waters. In reality, it's a floating line in the sand. On the other side of that line is China. For years, Chinese jets and ships have been accused of performing unsafe and unprofessional maneuvers against the US and its allies here. Flying within just a few feet of aircraft, dropping flares near patrol planes, cutting across bows of warships at the last second. The sea is calm tonight, but everything else is not. Before we go further, remember, what you're about to hear is a dramatized reconstruction inspired by real incidents and open source reporting. It's not classified, it's not a leak. It's a story built from the patterns that have already happened in this exact water over and over again. Our story begins in the dark. It's just after 2 a.m. On the destroyer's bridge, the lights are turned down to preserve night vision. The horizon is a black line, the sky a darker black above it. The only stars inside the ship are the green and amber symbols glowing on the radar screen. The officer of the watch leans over the display. Merchant traffic, distant. Weather returns, light. Everything looks ordinary. And yet nobody on duty feels relaxed, because the ship isn't just anywhere in the South China Sea. It's threading a route near disputed reefs and shoals where China has built airstrips, radars, and missile sites on artificial islands. On maps in Beijing, this entire area is wrapped in red lines and labeled as Chinese waters. On the destroyer's chart table, those same waters are marked very differently. International, open, contested only in speeches. Tonight, words meet steel. Just after 2:17, the Combat Information Center, a dark, windowless room full of screens and voices, reports something new. Bridge CIC, new air contacts bearing 205, range 90 miles, speed increasing. Likely PLA, Air Force, or Naval Aviation. The officer of the watch acknowledges, tone calm. Copy CIC, keep me updated. At 90 miles, the new tracks are just blips. Two aircraft side by side, climbing to altitude, and then leveling off. The system tags them, probable fighters. Given the direction, the bases, the timing, there's no mystery about whose they are. China is coming to look. They always do. In Beijing, official statements say foreign militaries intrude into Chinese airspace and waters. In Washington, the language is the opposite. Lawful operations in international airspace and seas. The map doesn't change, but the stories do. Out here, the story is simpler. Two jets are heading straight toward one ship, 70 miles, 60, 50. In the CIC, the air defense officer watches their speed and altitude. They're not just passing by, he mutters. They're on mission. The captain is called to the bridge. He's not surprised. When you sail here, you don't ask if China will show up. You only ask when and how bold they feel today. He steps up to the forward windows, looks out at the dark, empty horizon, and imagines the fighters closing in, twin points of light in the sky long before anyone can see their markings. 40 miles. The United States destroyer continues at a steady speed, determined to walk the route it filed. To turn away now would send a message that the threat of a flyby is enough to bend the map. That's not why it came. 30 miles. Down in engineering, no one sees the radar. They feel the tempo change in the air conditioning, the tone of voices on the announcing system. There's a particular silence that wraps around a ship when something might happen. 20 miles. Now the fighters are close enough that the ship's systems begin to classify not just two aircraft, but rough types. The signatures hint at Chinese J-11S or J-16s, heavy, powerful fighters often used in these intercepts. On the bridge, someone spots faint strobes above the horizon. Visual on aircraft bearing 205 high. A lookout calls out, binoculars pressed to his face. The captain doesn't bother to look yet. He knows the real danger isn't from what his eyes can see, it's from what the radar might miss if someone gets sloppy. The radio is quiet. Sometimes Chinese intercepts begin with a call. Foreign warship, you are entering Chinese territorial waters, leave immediately. Other times there's nothing until the roar of engines fills the air. Tonight, Beijing chooses silence. 10 miles. The fighters begin to descend. In the CIC, the air defense officer's voice tightens. Contacts dropping altitude. Now Angels 3, 2, 1. Closing fast. On the forward deck, sharp-eyed sailors can now see the shape of the jets. A pair of aggressive silhouettes against the sky. The sound hits next, a distant rumble that becomes a hammer beating on steel. They're low, very low. One jet lines up on a path that will take it off to the port side, giving it a good look at the destroyer. The other drifts just a little closer than standard procedures would ever recommend. The captain orders a steady course. Maintain heading, no sudden maneuvers. If he dodges, he gives them the satisfaction of saying they forced the US ship to move. If he stands steady, he keeps the incident firmly in the category of unsafe behavior by the other side. The first jet whistles past on the port side, a few hundred feet away, screaming through the sky but staying just outside the invisible box of too close. The second jet chooses differently. It dips lower, then cuts across the destroyer's bow, crossing in front at a distance that can be measured in dozens of yards, not miles. On the bridge, everyone feels it. The rush of air, the shove of turbulence, the sound hitting like a physical blow. For a second, the horizon lurches in the windows as the ship's massive hull reacts, even if only slightly. Jesus, someone whispers. Cameras mounted around the ship capture everything. The angle, the distance, the markings on the jet, the timestamp in the corner of the footage. This is exactly the kind of maneuver that US and allied officials have called unsafe and unprofessional again and again. This time, it's personal. The communications officer looks at the captain. "Do we respond on radio, sir?" The captain takes a breath. "Not yet." The second pass is always the real test. The fighters circle. High above, satellites see nothing more than tiny moving dots. But down here, within line of sight, human instincts take over. Chinese pilots want to show they're not afraid, that this sea is theirs. American sailors want to show they won't be bullied away from open waters. Back in China, maps painted with a 9-dash line claim almost the entire South China Sea. International tribunals have rejected those claims, but tribunals don't fly jets. Pilots do. The fighters roll back in. This time, one of them comes in from behind, slightly higher, angling to pass directly over the destroyer's superstructure. In the CIC, the electronic warfare team picks up a spike of emission, a radar mode often associated with targeting, not just search. Their report is crisp but urgent. Contact is painting us with fire control radar momentarily. Short illumination. That phrase, fire control radar, changes everything. You don't need to pull a trigger to send a message. Sometimes just pointing the gun is the message. The captain's jaw tightens. "That's enough." He turns to the communications officer. "Put it out." The radio operator keys the mic on an international distress and safety frequency, the kind everyone in range can hear. "Unidentified Chinese aircraft. This is United States Navy warship. Your maneuvers are unsafe and unprofessional. You are jeopardizing the safety of both our forces. Cease your aggressive behavior immediately." The words are chosen carefully, no insults, no taunts. Just the phrases that international law loves. Unsafe, unprofessional, safety, both our forces. But behind the measured tone is something else. A warning that this entire exchange is being recorded, not just by the destroyer, but by anyone listening. For a moment, there is no response. The jet roars overhead, passing close enough that sailors on deck can see the shape of missiles slung under its wings. Then the second part of the Chinese move. Off the destroyer's starboard side, a new contact appears on radar. Low, small, fast. Surface contact, bearing 080, range 12 miles, speed 30+ knots. Likely planned patrol ship, the CIC reports. China is not just circling from above, it's tightening the noose at sea level too. Soon, a gray hull emerges out of the darkness, white wake foaming on either side. A Chinese Navy patrol vessel, hull number painted in large characters on its side, closes in. The destroyer now sits in a 3-dimensional box, fighters above, a warship to the side, and man-made islands with missile batteries over the horizon. This is what testing red lines really looks like. On the Chinese bridge, their captain eyes the American destroyer with a pair of binoculars. To him, the US ship is a knife scraping along the edge of what Beijing insists is Chinese territory. He's under pressure too. If he lets the foreign warship pass without challenge, he looks weak. If he pushes too hard and something goes wrong, he becomes the man who started an international crisis. He orders a course that will take his ship not directly at, but across the path of the US destroyer, close enough to force the Americans to make a choice. On the American ship, everyone can see what's about to happen. A collision isn't likely. Both sides are professional mariners, but the distance will be tight, the margin for error frighteningly small for anyone who's not used to it. The captain weighs his options in seconds. He knows one thing: he is not turning away. He orders a subtle change instead. Helm, come right 2 degrees. Maintain speed. 2 degrees. To a civilian, that sounds like nothing. To a navigator, it can mean the difference between a head-on confrontation and a controlled parallel pass. The new course is drawn not just to avoid collision, but to put the Chinese ship in a position where every one of its movements is perfectly captured by the destroyer's sensors. Just like the aircraft, the patrol vessel thinks it's doing the hunting. Instead, it's being scanned. The distance closes. At its closest point, the two ships pass near enough that sailors can see faces on the other bridge. Cameras click on both sides. Some Chinese sailors point phones. A few Americans wave. Others keep their hands firmly on rails and equipment. Both crews know that somewhere, far above, someone is watching satellite images and thinking not about faces, but about probabilities. What are the odds that one more of these unsafe encounters turns into a headline with the word collision in it? As the Chinese ship passes, the destroyer's radio comes alive. A voice with a strong accent but good English fills the bridge. Foreign warship, you are entering Chinese territorial waters. You are threatening our sovereignty. You must leave immediately. The communications officer replies, reading from words approved and rehearsed over countless drills. Chinese naval vessel, this is United States Navy warship. We are conducting lawful operations in international waters in accordance with international law. We do not seek escalation. We urge you to operate in a safe and professional manner. Once again, that phrase, safe and professional. Those words show up in press releases later, whenever the US or its allies describe these encounters. They're not just talking points, they are legal markers, planted like buoys in the sea of public opinion. High above, the fighters circle again. This time, instead of diving low, one of them stays at altitude, offset a bit, almost like a guardian. The other performs a wide, dramatic barrel roll at a safer distance. Not the terrifying, close barrel rolls that have sparked diplomatic protests in the past, but a clear show of confidence nonetheless. It's bravado without quite tipping into insanity. On the destroyer, tension eases by one notch. The worst-case scenario, another dangerously close pass, a flare drop too close, an accidental strike of chaff into an engine intake. Hasn't happened. Not tonight. The captain doesn't relax. He orders the ship's helicopter crew to readiness. The MH-60 on the flight deck is rolled forward. Pre-flight checks humming. The rotors don't spin up yet, but if they have to launch quickly to monitor a small boat or get eyes farther out, they can. In the CIC, analysts begin tagging and saving the data in earnest. Aircraft altitude profiles, radar modes, the exact shape of the intercept path, the engine sound in the audio channel, the radio timing. Every detail becomes part of a library of Chinese behavior in the South China Sea. On shore, politicians will talk about freedom of navigation and respect for international law. Journalists will write headlines about unsafe encounters. But for the sailors and pilots actually here, the memory is more physical. The roar of engines, the shudder of turbulence, the sight of another nation's flag flying way too close. As dawn approaches, the fighters finally peel off, climbing and turning back toward their base. The Chinese patrol ship settles into a looser shadowing pattern, staying on the horizon instead of charging toward the bow. The US destroyer stays on track. No change of mission, no emergency turn away. Just the same planned route, drawn by calculators and political will, long before anyone stepped foot on the bridge. By the time the sun pushes up over the edge of the world, the sea looks peaceful. To anyone watching from far away, it's just another day in the South China Sea. But for anyone who knows what happened in the dark, this night becomes part of a bigger story. A long, grinding contest over who gets to decide where the lines are in this part of the world. China tried to move those lines again, with jets, with flares, with close passes and bold radio calls. The United States destroyer answered in a different way. It didn't fire. It didn't flee. It held course. It recorded everything. And it sent a clear message, not in angry words, but in cold, unblinking data. We see you. We're not leaving. And no matter how close you fly, this sea is not yours alone.